Hello and welcome back to my channel. We rejoin our characters. They're just gone through a door, forced it open, and lo and behold, they have been confronted by 11 giant rats squeaking away. We had rolled for surprise, and with the ranger's uncanny skills, his ability, his stealthy manner, and he has imbued the party with some almost magical properties. We generated a surprise roll that entailed that the rats were surprised for 2 segments. And I had alluded at the end of the last video that one of the mechanics of the surprise rule would come into effect. And that was to do with the fact that you get effectively, we already know this, we effectively, for every segment, you almost get a complete round of activity. But when it comes to missile fire, Gary Gygax was very generous. He must have anticipated that the surprise segment would almost be like some form of MG42 volley fire with short bursts of almost like automatic weapon power. And basically, I'll read you the exact text so that it's not like I'm making this up. Because the party's surprise is relatively inactive, the surprising party will be able to attempt telling blows during each segment of surprise, as if the segment were an entire round. So we're comfortable with that. That makes sense. That is, a fighter able to attack twice during a normal round of combat will be able to do so twice during each surprise segment. So dice are rolled for hit determination accordingly. Even if distance prevents striking with weapons, the discharge of arrows, bolts, or handheld weapons is permissible at 3 times the normal rate, providing the weapon missiles are ready, otherwise at normal rates for rounds. Once surprise segments are over, melee proceeds normally on a round-by-round basis. Now, we had said that Anarian had his bow ready, and we know that the rate of fire for a short bow is 2, according to the player's handbook. So, by that calculation, with 2 segments of surprise, we have a 3x2 per segment, so that's 6 arrows can be loosed per segment, so that is going to be 12 shots of rapid fire. So Anarian is going to go all Legolas, full out Legolas on this. It's going to be a wee bit, it was, what was it, was it Dol Amroth or something, the bit in the Fellowship where they have the big confrontation with the Uruk-hai, and Legolas is just jumping around, firing off, and it's going zip, 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 and it's like, it is basically like having a rifle that is just constantly repeating. This is going to be even more, it's going to be a bit like one of these gangster films with the Saint Valentine's Massacre. Of course, we have to see what the impact is going to be. But I thought, well, we've really got to see this mechanic in action. And I'm following the rules as written, so I think it sounds like a fine mechanic. It just means that obviously there was a view that if you had this surprise thing where the opponent was frozen, basically completely on their back foot, or in this case a back paw, you would have overwhelming initiative, the ability to do all sorts of stuff. And I suppose we're in this kind of fantasy world, so this is where all the heroic stuff comes out, where you have amazing things that you can do. And maybe Surprise is trying to emulate some of that, this amazing heroic action that our characters, or I suppose if the boot was on the other foot, monsters could do, if they get some sort of tangible difference in the combat round. Okay, so what I've done is I have created a little, just for the occasion, I have created a little map, which I thought might be quite useful just to have for us, to give us a bit of a context to what's going on. And I've got some little counters that I can use for my rats. So if we just set up our characters first, so they've forced open this door, and it's revealed a 20 by 10 room in the gloomy dark. There is this closed door here. There is the potential for secret doors around here. So if we look at our original map, this represents basically this configuration here. So it's got the open door here, and then the 20 by 10 room. So our characters who were initially forced the door were Lindris and Tristan. So there's an open door there, and behind them, with his bow ready, was Anarian. And then we have Dagobert in his favourite position, just behind, with his lantern shining away, the light of Bane, illuminating where darkness was. So we're in this basically quite a strong position. What I would like to do is determine where the giant rats are. Initially I thought, well, maybe they would be lined up probably far away from these doors, and maybe they've got some form of tunnels that they've used to get in and out. I've kind of almost surmised also that they're part of maybe like an advance party of rats in this overall palace, and they've been tasked under their leader, who is called Redeye, and he is this counter here, Redeye. He's on for obvious reasons, because he's got red glowing eyes, and he's much larger than the other rats. He is the kind of sub leader of the overall tribe, or pack, I would suppose you call it, pack, yeah, pack of rats, is it, or is it swarm, infestation of rats? Could be infestation. This group basically of rats, they're like a little advance party, and they've managed to burrow through this side of the wall. And what they're doing is they're just holed up in this room just now, and they have been surprised by these characters. They're all what I would quite like to do is determine whether they're in this portion, or or maybe I would have them up against this wall. So what I'll do is I'll have them. I'll have one to two. They're in this area. 3 to 4 they're in this area, and 5 to 6 they're arranged against this wall here in both areas. So if we get our d6, I'll just determine that just now. A simple die roll. So they are in this area. So I would say that they're going to be quite far away from this door. They're going to be ranged in here. They might spill over a bit. They are tiny. I've got little counters here for all of them. They might have to spill into that bit of an area there. They're all squeaking away. Little grey counters representing all these little rats. Some of them might have to sit on top of the other. I don't really seem to have too much. I think I was originally expecting them to be all along. Well, for practical reasons, I think we're going to have to put a few up here. So you don't mind that. So there's all Redeye here. And what Redeye says is, he says in, I suppose, rat language, he says, beware, 2 legs. And because he sees these creatures, these strange alien creatures. Suddenly there's light. They're all kind of blinded, and this character, this two leg, what they call them, disparagingly, stands forward and just releases hell on them. Basically, he gets the short bow out and just lets rip. So I think what we do is we get our monster manual out. We work out what all the different rats' particulars are. We do it in a nice measured manner. Don't jump to the conclusion that Anarian is going to destroy them all. He could feasibly, if he gets a hit with every single arrow, kill every single one in two rounds, but or 2 segments. But let's just hang on a bit and see what exactly happens. So rats, giant, we'll get away from our rock grub. Get my pencil and my pad. We had our gold from yesterday sitting in Tristan's backpack. So let us work out our rats. So we've got giant rats times 11, and they are led by Redeye, and I'm going to make Redeye the strongest one, and I think their hit points can be 1 to 4. So he's going to be a 4 hit. Whoever is a 4 hit point, Redeye is going to be one of those. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we get our good old D4 out. We're going to do this 10 times, but if you can bear with me, we got a 2, that's 1, we get a 4, there's a tough one, maybe that's Redeye. I was going to call him Rattus or Novedicus or something, but I thought I'd just go for Redeye. That sounds a bit more appropriate for the circumstances. There's certainly going to be a lot of red after an Aryan has let loose with his first flight, his first volley. A 6, that's a 2. Not too long to go, we're over halfway. That's another 2. We've got a 4, there's another tough one. And we've got a 9, number 9 here's another tough one. Okay, so there are quite a group of beefy rats. There's a 3. And our final one, we won't do like what we did with our kobolds and forget our 11th one. Oh, we have a tough one. So I would say number 2 is he is Redeye. He's our rat leader, the leader of the pack. And he's the one that's basically, he's reacted maybe slightly quicker than the other rats, and he's given a warning, beware. So that they're taking what they can do as evasive action, but is it to any use? That is the question. Now, the armor class for rats they are armor class 7, and they do have a damage attack of 1 to 3, and they also have a special attack of disease. So if they do connect, we could potentially be in a bit of trouble, because there's a 5% chance that the wound inflicted will result in contracting serious disease. We have to have a saving throw versus poison to avoid that. So yeah, it's probably a small chance, but it's still uncomfortable situation for the characters. They really basically want to try and eliminate them at this stage. So let's see how they get on. So if I get my combat tables out of my pad, I should have had this ready. And again, we won't have any weapon adjustments, because these rats, they don't have armor. I've lost my section. Oh, here it is. So yes, I had to just pause the video while I found it. We've got our attack thing. So it's armor class 7 for a fighter, a ranger, against armor class 7. Our base is 14. So it's quite a difficult shot, really, against these little swarming rats. I mean, we might have multiple shots firing, but to get a 14 is quite a difficult shot. We're not going to have any range penalties, because the short range is 5, or which is 50 feet. So these are all within 10 feet. I think we just get the old D20 out and see how many he lets loose with. The other characters, what they're doing in this segment, the first segment of surprise, is that Tristan, he also has a bow. So what he's going to do is he's going to just resheath his longsword, throw his shield on his back, whip off his bow, and get it ready to fire for the next segment. So that's what he's doing in this segment. He's doing a weapon system rejig. Lindris, he has his longsword out, his broadsword, the Dark Slayer, and he decides, well, I don't really want to get in there, and I don't want to get involved in this melee because I could be part of the line of fire, that this constant stream of arrows. I think I'd rather use my dagger and throw it at one of these rats. So what he does is he doesn't have a shield, so he's got a hand free that he just whips out his dagger, and he's ready to throw that next segment. So that's what's happening. Dagobert is just doing what he's good at. He's probably just keeping the light up. He doesn't really want to get, maybe he doesn't like rats too much, or no, that's probably not a very fair reason. He'd be better placed shedding light into the room, and also potentially guarding their back, because that's always a consideration when we're doing these kind of combats. They might attract other interested parties. So it's always good to have like a rear guard just in case. Okay, so we have 14 to hit. There is no adjustments because his dexterity is poor. So I say it was just a straight 14. So we're going to have 6 shots that we're going to do in the first segment. So if I just get my thing, and they are armor class 7. And what an Aryan can have, he can have 6 shots in segment 1 and 6 shots in segment 2. So we'll do our first shot in segment 1. A hit. So that's 1 hit. I can write up in my little tally here. Second one is a miss. So what I'll do is I'll just tally. I'll say he's up to, so I'll have a miss up there. So that's 2 shots, another miss. So that's 3 shots and he's missed. Halfway through, another miss. Arrows flying everywhere, like this automatic weapon. Yes, it's a hit. That's good, a hit. And the final one, 14. It is a hit. So in the first segment, he gets 3 hits on the rats. So I will roll randomly who he hits, and I'll use the D12 and I ignore the 12 result. So get my D12 out, and I say the first arrow hits. Oh, it hits Redeye. Straight for, it's number 2. Oh, that was out of camera shot. Number 2, it hits Redeye. My goodness. So he's gone straight for this guy. He must have just had an innate sense of go for, chop the head off, decapitation. That's about how you conquer countries when you have a coup. Decapitate the leadership. He's gone straight for the leader. Now, for a small creature like a rat, and when you think about it, these rats aren't very, they're probably a bit bigger than normal rats, but it's quite a tough shot when you think of it against a small opponent. So there is a potential that he kills outright Redeye. It's going to be quite a good hit if he does it. He needs a 1 to 6 to hit Redeye. So let's see what he gets. Oh, he does. So he has decapitated the group. Redeye has gone. The mighty Redeye is dead. With the first shot of the game, of the surprise segment, bang, he's taken out. So he's still got another 2 shots, and who are we going to get this time? So we roll out D12 again, and we get a 7. So number 7's got 2 hit points. We'll roll for 1 to 6 points of damage. Oh, so it does survive. So maybe it's it gets slightly skewered, but it's still squeaking around. It's probably got something through its back leg or its hind quarters. It's not going to make a fast getaway anyhow. Excuse me. And then our final one, we're going to go against this rat. It's rat number 7. Oh, rat number 7 again. So he's really got it in for rat number 7. And this is going to be almost automatic. So rat number 7 goes. So we're 2 rats down after the first segment. Right. Okay. So we move on to segment 2. And we're going to have a bit more involvement from the other characters now. We're going to have Anarion doing his volley fire. We're going to have Lindris with his dagger throw. And we're going to have Tristan with his normal rate of fire with his short bow. And again, at short range. And I would say that I think Tristan, does he get a dex bonus on it? I can't remember if he gets a dex bonus. Yeah, I just had to quickly pause that there just to check on the dex thing. Lindris has got a dexterity of 17, so he's going to get a +2 with his attack. And Tristan has dex of 11, so he's not going to get any. So Lindris will be a 12 to hit. Tristan will be a 14, and Anarion at a 14. So we'll do Anarion again first to see how he gets on with his 6 shots. So again, we'll get our little tally meter to do the hits and misses. And we have our first one. We get a miss. So I'll put the misses down here. Second one, a 20. That's a good hit. Up here. Third shot, 5, it's a miss. Fourth shot, 11, that's a miss. Come on, Anarion, we need to get a few more in. That's another miss. So rapid rate of fire, but maybe not the accuracy that we were looking for. And a 3, and it's another miss. So he's only got 1 hit after all that. So as I was saying, it's not a certainty that they're going to do a major damage here. I mean, I'll just remove old Redeye, he's gone. Get out of the situation. So let's find out which particular rat Anarion hits. It's a 12, we have to ignore the 12, we'll roll the 12 again. We get an 8, so that's got 4 hit points. So feasibly this could still survive after 1 to 6 points of damage, and it does. So number 8 goes down to 2. So we're left with, in fact, we've lost another one. Say we've lost this one here. I'll get rid of one of my white ones. So we're down to 9 rats, and 1 is quite severely wounded after all Anarion's missile fighting. We've got, let's do Tristan next, and he'll have 2 shots that he can fire in this segment, so he needs a 14 to hit. So the first one, he misses. That's a very bad one. You know, in some systems that would be like a critical fail, and you'd probably end up shooting yourself in the foot. And then the second one, he misses, so he's not really done too well. Maybe he was too fast trying to get his bow ready. He just had too much to do, too many things in his hand. That's the downside of doing that kind of maneuver. And then we have Lindris, and he's got his dagger, and he's going to be quite accurate with that because he gets he does have a range of 1 as short range, so he's not going to get a range penalty. So he just throws his dagger, aims at say this one here. He needs a 12 to hit. Is he going to get it straight in the head? He gets an 8. He misses. It goes clattering. Okay, so that is the end of the surprise segments, and not really the results that maybe the characters were expecting. They were buoyed with confidence. They thought, maybe they thought they had it in the bag, but no, the giant rats have different plans. And now maybe this is the chance for them to basically start jumping on them and doing all sorts of potential damage on our characters. So what we do next is we do a straightforward initiative roll. And it's just a quick recap of where our characters are. Tristan is armed with his short bow just now. Anarian's still got his short bow. Lindris has got he has thrown his dagger. He has his long sword in his hand. His broadsword, Dark Slayer, is potentially thirsting for a bit of rat blood. And Dagobert, with his lantern and his footman's mace, is waiting behind. The rats, there are now 9 of them. They have now on morale. Do these creatures suffer from morale? I'll have to check that, but certainly they've not reached the trigger point yet, because even though I said that Redeye is a leader, he's not. He's really. I'm just really using him for solo game purposes, just to give myself a bit of colour and character. There's no real kind of leader in this group, because they're usually, the definition of the leader in AD&D is to have a higher level character with large groups. Say like a level 5 when you have groups of level 1s and 2s. So that's not the case. And 25% is what we'd have to. So we'd have to have at least 3 casualties. We're almost at maybe a trigger point, but I'll have to check whether it classifies for non-intelligent creatures, because that's what these are. They've got animal intelligence. I'm not sure if morale is a factor in them. They might just carry on regardless, or it does seem that strange. I think there is a mention in the monster manual that they will avoid contact with what appears to be a superior party. So I'd say that depending on how this dice roll goes and the next round, if they see that the characters are still got this element of superiority, which they've demonstrated in the first 2 surprise segments, I would say that they would just hightail it down their little tunnels and be off. So it really depends on what this initiative roll is. So let's find out. So the characters do get initiative. They are on a 4 and a 3. So they have the advantage in this round. So I would say these two characters are armed with missile weapons. I would say they would just carry on firing their missile weapons at these things. Lindris is what he's going to do. He's going to charge in. Now, there is a chance that he might get hit by these two, because they're firing into a melee. Is it worth it? Maybe what Lindris is going to do is he might adopt a position here and try to lure some of them away out of bow range, so that it doesn't classify as an ongoing melee. So say he had charged straight into that and started getting in about these rats. I think that there would have been a chance that when they fire, we do this ratio thing of he counts as a medium-sized creature, and these are small creatures, and they would almost be half. We'd have to do a ratio thing. So every shot that these guys fired, there'd be a percentage that they might hit Lindris. Now, I suppose Lindris has the advantage that he's got a very good armor class, so it might be quite difficult for them to hit. But do we want to risk friendly fire on our elf, when what he could do is maybe move up here with he's very fast and dexterous, so he moves up here, and he's got his short sword out. Maybe some of them would be startled, and they'd just and he almost like peels them off, and they would form a separate melee up here. I think he's a smart character. He's probably like an ex kind of soldier, we reckoned. He knows the tactics. I think we'll go for that. We might sacrifice a blow at this stage, but if it keeps them safe from the missile fire that's ongoing here, maybe that's what we're going to do. And then Dagobert can move up with his mace, and he's there prepared in case the rats do decide to turn and charge us. Okay, let's do that. So we have the advantage. Tristan has got 2 shots that he can fire with his short bow. So the first one he's going to do, so let's see if we get a 14 or above. He misses with his first shot, and with his second shot, he hits. Good. So who's he going to hit? We'll get our D12 out. We roll an 11, so it's number 11. Number 11 is quite a tough rat. That's number 4. That's 4. So let's see how many hit points of damage he does to this rat. Yes, he does. He kills the rat. So nice one, Tristan. So another rat, dirty rat goes. So that's 3 gone. So I'll just quickly check the morale rules to see whether we might trigger some form of morale test. Certainly they've lost at least a quarter of their number now. So yeah. Remember, the kobolds were in a similar position, but they were intelligent creatures. So that's where that applied. And then Anarion has got his shots that he can fire. So let's see if we can rub some salt into the wounds of the rats. He needs a 14 or above to hit. Yes, he does with his first one. So that's 1 hit. And the second one is a miss. So he's hit with 1. Let's see which rat we get. We get number 7. He's already dead, so I have to roll again. Actually, what I could do is, instead of saying number 7, I could go 1 to 3, it's number 6, and 4 to 6, it's number 8. Yeah, let's do that. So, otherwise we're going to keep on rolling and rolling and rolling. So it is, yes, it's number 8 who's already been hit by an arrow. We get our D6 for that. And let's see if Anarion can kill it. He doesn't. He's now, this rat is now got riddled. He's now riddled with arrows. He's still there. He's limping away. It's like super rat, this one. So he's got 2 arrows in him. There's no way he's going to get down the tunnel because he won't be able to fit. Because he's got 2 arrows like poking through him. I don't know how he does that, but there you go. Okay. So that's the missile section over. We can't do anything else because what Lindris has done is this. I'll just put on a quick pause and check the morale rules. Yeah, I've checked the morale rules, and it's only for intelligent creatures. So let's quickly consult the monster manual again, see if that gives us any clues about how these animals would react. You know, they're down to what's that? They've lost 3, so they're down to 8 rats. Basically 25%, and they have one of them wounded. So they've been basically overwhelmed by all these missiles flying at them. You know, if you were in the rat's shoes, you're probably thinking, you know, take cover. Let's get out of the way. You know, this could carry on. You know, this could be like continuous pelting with these little pointy sticks at us. This isn't very nice at all. I didn't get into the rat army for this reason. Giant rats will avoid attacking strong parties unless commanded to fight by such creatures as were-rats or vampires. They are fearful of fire and flee from it. Okay, so they are not being commanded by anything. And in fact, they have lost their token leader, Redeye. But maybe we could ignore that for the mechanics purposes. But from an overall kind of game aesthetic, you know, I think that's quite significant. I would say that potentially, you know, they see this elf come in too, and he's adopted a kind of aggressive stance in the corner here. These other 2 are still unleashing a kind of volley of missile fire. You know, there's arrows flying everywhere. It's really quite awful. They're seeing some of their comrades skewered. They've seen their leader basically taken out by a shot. It is feeling kind of serious. So I would say that the only way they're going to basically do it almost like a kind of charge at us in a kind of frenzy is on quite a low probability. So let's maybe assign a probability to this. I would say that if we did a kind of on a balanced view, and if I was the rat and I had all these little holes that were beckoning, I would probably be probably 80% of the time I'd want to maybe retreat, fight another day, go back to our rat chieftain, tell them all about how Redeye fought valiantly but was skewered by these horrible two legs. They've come in and infested our dungeon again. Fight to live another day. So let's say that after all that, if we roll 20% or below, we stay and fight. Otherwise, we hightail it and go back through our little holes and disappear. So this is quite important for the characters because they don't really want to be faced by these giant rats charging them and potentially giving them nasty little bites. So 36. So they do. They what the rats do. They decide. We really are outwitted, smarted, outgunned, out everything. We really just need to get out. that's the final conclusion. So what they do is they turn their little squeaky tails. They disappear down these little holes behind them, out of view. Probably the one that is finding it rather difficult to navigate, is our number 8, our valiant little number 8 rat. He's been hit twice with arrows. He's finding it quite difficult to actually get down a hole. I think we might just have to come in and do the coup de grace on that one and put it out its misery. It's not going to survive the night. I think that's what Lindris will probably do with Dark Slayer, who's hungry for any type of blood. He comes up and goes whack and absolutely takes this rat out. So that's 4 rats that we have destroyed. The rest have fled. I think, on the balance, that would probably be a sensible thing for these rats to do. I can't see that they would feel that they're against probably overwhelming odds. If you can rationalize in the head of a rat, I think they're probably quite cowardly creatures if faced by what look like overwhelming opposition. They probably did the sensible thing. So, and I think with a solo game you can rationalize it, and if you come up with a pretty, I've convinced myself that that's probably the thing I would do if I was a rat. I would just hightail it out and live to fight another day, lick my wounds. And these other rats, they are unscathed, so they're why hang around and basically get riddled with these horrible 2-leg missiles. Okay, so that was quite a little fight. The characters at the end of that, if we just go back to our time log, we were up to just put this out of the way for a minute. Yeah, I would say that that's probably taken maybe, say, another 2 rounds to do all that type of stuff and get in and do the door. So we're up to 5 on that. And also what we're going to have to do as characters after any combat is to do a bit of a rest. However, I would say that if you just look at this map, probably the last place they want to do any resting is in this horrible, probably infested room that's had giant rats in it. It's probably disgusting. When you think of it, this entire section of the dungeon here, these little rooms, this one was disgusting because it had the rock grub in it. This is probably quite dirty too. I think, and what Dagobert says is, he says, look, there's no way we're going to get any form of rest here. Why don't we go and get some fresh air, get out of this horrible situation, go back into this room here. At least that was empty. We can recover there. So they say that's an excellent idea, Dagobert, because this is disgusting here. It's not pleasant at all. There is definitely going to be a chance. We do these disease checks whenever the characters go down Dunmora. I think they've been exposed to all sorts of horrible parasites and disgusting things. We might even ramp up the ante on this and say, look, the rock grub stuff, that was just pure filth in there. And these rats, they are disgusting. Even though they didn't come into contact with us, there's bound to be parasites and all sorts of things in here. So, the less time we are in this environment, the better. So there's no way we're just going to stand there and rest. So they decide to follow Dagobert's lead and go back into the room. So we're going to do our resting, and that puts us up to another turn. Now, while we are resting, Anarian says, "Right, okay, this encounter with these giant rats, that's got me thinking, because say they had been led by Bane forbid, they had been led by a were rat. We are not armed with any silver weapons. So my advice is that when we go back to Marchton and for future adventures, we have at least that in our kit bag. We have a couple of silver weapons that we can deploy as and when. Otherwise, we are maybe powerless against these lycanthropes. I have seen them in action in the wilds. They are savage creatures, and you need some form of weapon against them. Otherwise, you just must run for the hills. So they say that is very, very sage advice, Anarian. We will take that on board. Let us hope that we do not come across one of these now that you have tempted fate in any of our random rolls. There is always the chance. Okay, so that was quite I quite enjoyed that little fight. I know it was a bit one-sided and whatever, but yeah, I suppose they did have two rounds, two segments of surprise. Maybe they could have actually got better, because the hit rate for Anarian wasn't fantastic. He did have quite a high bar to get past. It was a 14, so maybe having four hits out of what was that, 12 isn't too bad, based on the fact that it's a 14 plus to hit. He's maybe just been slightly unlucky. Maybe he could have, and some of his hits he wasn't getting a clean shot. That amazing number 8 rat, super rat. It took two arrows and a coup de grace from Lindris with the Dark Slayer. That really deserves an award, I think, for in rat history. So you've really just got to, maybe not beat yourself up, Anarian, about that. That was just the luck of the draw. I think it does demonstrate that these surprise rules can be quite interesting, just the application of them. And also the fact that it gives, if you do get surprised, you have a lot of leeway in what you can do. The fact that our characters, they could swap weapon systems. They could do basically what they do in a round in one segment. And the fact that Lindris took that quite an interesting move, where he went into the position to draw off some rats so that he wouldn't get involved in a missile exchange. Or even though that he's kind of basically an armor class of a tank, there's still the chance that he could get hit, and I think he's only got about 5 hit points. So say he did get hit by an arrow and we scored a 6, that's Lindris out. So is it worth the chance for friendly fire? I don't think so. I think that was the right tactic. Okay, so good. So I think that it does demonstrate that the characters are really starting to gel together as a unit. They seem to understand each other's, almost like read each other's minds now. And Arian's, it's just fitted in like a round peg in a round hole. He's done, and maybe a bit rough around the edges, but he is already contributing to the party. He's giving some woodland lore. He's giving his knowledge, bestiary knowledge of all different creatures. He's giving some sage advice about were-rats and the fact that you should have silver weapons. He's really coming up trumps with us. We are quite delighted with him. So he is definitely part of the group. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Right. I'll just check on the time. Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll just say that I'll call it a day for, we've done our usual sort of time. We did when we generated these giant rats. They said that there was not going to be any treasure, so we'll have to get Lindris to map this room. We've got if we look at the actual map itself, what we can do, we've got this door here which goes back into here, so that's no use. But there is the prospect that we could get some secret doors here. So I would say that we should determine the secret doors. And see whether Lindris and Tristan, with their little spider senses, detect anything. There's probably a bit of, I think whenever you go into a room like this that doesn't really seem to have an obvious exit, that seems to be nonsensical, the fact that that door goes back in there. There is the automatic kind of almost assumption that maybe there's something going on and that we should be checking for secret doors. Once, for future exploration, we've obviously got, where the kobolds went down here. We've got down here, which is a possibility. We've got this passage that we haven't gone down. There's quite a lot of things. And of course, we could always go all the way back down here and down the chute and down to level 2 if we felt really quite cocky about things. But maybe that's just a step beyond what we should be doing in this particular dungeon. We do seem to be able to take on some reasonably robust opposition, although, those giant rats weren't really anything much to write home about. But they could have if they've been a bit more lucky with some of their rolls, maybe they could have actually given us a bit of a run for our money. But that's the way of it. I quite enjoyed that little. It was quite nice to give them a bit of characterization and some raison d'etre, why they're there and what they had to do. And I think that's the way to do it with some of these encounters. Just almost like take on the part of the monster and try to see it from their point of view. And maybe it's a bit difficult when you've got animal intelligence, but I think the Sturges that worked. They had their own little language, and the rats. Maybe they are kind of like quite cunning creatures, so they can probably use their animal cunning, and that is almost like a form of intelligence. So they're all about self-preservation, and that was demonstrated in spades in that encounter. They decided to err on the side of caution, fight another day, just try to avoid basically a hail of missiles that were being pounded on them. If I was a rat, I'd be getting out. I would be bugging out of that situation. Okay, that was good. I enjoyed that, and I hope you did too. I look forward to you joining me with the ongoing, continuing adventures of the characters in the Lost Palace of Dunmorna. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.